Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Veronica Riera-Gilley of Prairie Fire Pharmacy Consulting, and I am joined today by two amazing pharmacists. I have with me Dr. Jenna Clack. She is founder of Clack the Code, and she is a regenerative medicine pharmacist. And I also have Emily Kirkwold. She's the natural family planning pharmacist. And I'm really excited to have both of you together today because I'm a geriatric pharmacist and my passion is to help people age more healthfully with minimal medications. And Jenna, you have the specialty with regenerative medicine where you prefer bioidentical hormone replacement and help people with that aging process because you see some of the pitfalls and downfalls of the synthetic estrogens and progesterones that are in birth control and also in our hormone replacement therapies. And Emily, you have a passion for helping prevent pregnancy without hormonal contraception. And I'm interested to see where the conversation takes us to find out how we can help our patients age more healthfully by avoiding these compounds earlier on in life. So we'll start with you, Emily. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your passion for natural family planning?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited for this conversation. I'm Dr. Emily, the Natural Family Planning Pharmacist, and I empower women to care for and love the bodies they were given. And I'm just passionate about helping women know the power of their own bodies, whether a woman wants to avoid pregnancy naturally or wants to achieve pregnancy or just wants to know more about her body and her overall health. Natural family planning can be incredibly helpful. It's all about knowing the signs of fertility that your body is already giving you and then paying attention to those signs and using that information. So I'm super passionate about helping women achieve their family planning and or health goals. I am married and I live in the northwest suburbs of Minneapolis. I have two children. My son Henry is 5 and my daughter Amelia is 3. And when I'm not hanging out with my family or talking about natural family planning, I like to run in my neighborhood. I like to drink coffee, and my kids and I have been very into dance parties.
I love it.
So Veronica knew we'd be friends. How often do you find that women just don't pay attention to themselves as far as the reproductive cycles that are so intertwined with our emotions, our hormonal responses? How crazy common is that?
Extremely common, extremely common. I have women come to me that they take an introductory class with me where I just talk about what does natural family planning really mean. And one of the most common things I hear all the time is, why wasn't I told this sooner? Why didn't I learn this about my body when I, learned about my cycles in health class? I have healthcare professionals. I mean, these are the questions I ask too. Why wasn't I told
Right.
about this when I learned anatomy and physiology? Like, this is how my body works. It's
Well, and
so
that's
common.
that's so interesting because like that's when I ran into with regenerative medicine, and I've only worked with bioidenticals. I got dropped into it so beautifully. And the frustration that I see with synthetic estrogens and progestin being interchanged as the only options. There's no knowledge. They're interchanged even in some pharmacy books as far as wording and delivery. And, to be able to find out the truth shouldn't be this dig and fight. What what benefit does it do for us to not honor our creation and our creators, which are the women in our culture? Like it's bizarre in so many levels. And the
Mhm.
why is like beyond me, but the what and the how you're doing it makes me so excited because I had so many women that were so unhealthy and on birth control. I'm like, just please get off. And they're like, but I don't want. I'm like, seriously, creation of life's like the worst thing that could happen and you're killing yourself right now. Like how
Yeah, it's it's incredibly frustrating that the message that women are told is you have to take this medication The only medication that gets prescribed to perfectly healthy people to shut down the way your body was made to work, and you have to take this. This is your only option. That is
And
incredibly
for some
frustrating.
random shit on the side note, for some random sideways on the side note.
Right.
Like the reason they're taking it. I'm like, oh, because you couldn't figure something out and you just shut all their hormones down because they were too loud for you, because the body was so loud and speaking to you. You said, shh. And that's the message that I was just feeling. I was like, oh gosh, I don't even want to get on big themes, but that is the message and the big theme. It's just like, hey, shh, you're messing up your creation and your spontaneity that is giving so much to the world is kind of messing with my strict rules and manipulation of the system. So we need you to just shh.
Right. Right. And how messed up is it that, the birth control pill was released in 1960, and it was this, big flag for women. Women can take freedom now. Now we
Such a
have this
trick.
option to plan our families however we want. And we'll just stop telling women anything about how, their body really works. We'll just shut everything down in the name of feminism.
Well, and I think that's so frustrating when I see feminists being so pro this, and I'm like, oh, but you don't even have any intuition anymore because you've completely shut down your ability to feel your body with this thing that you're taking to get out of feeling yourself, and you've been tricked into it by thinking it's your idea. And how do you start from that, without the cognitive dissonance that happens and being insulted from that obvious truth, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
it where we are right now. We have the availability to start saying, maybe it wasn't feminism to say, let's take all the consequences off my actions while I make you do everything anyway. I was going to say in some really harsh ways. I'm really glad on the second, we'll have like an uncut edition where I'm like, and this is what these, so it's really interesting that we're in this space where you can say, no, what about I am an individual, and all of my feelings and intuitions about my environment are guiding the people around me, because as a woman, I am the lioness, I am the protector, I have sonar to hear threats, I have ability to make medicine from the earth, I have all of these natural knowings that have been shut down and said, well, if you don't do this one thing, you're going to live with all of this stuff we just destroyed. Well, what about not destroying it? What about not modifying it? So like the fact that you're giving women an option is like freaking beyond me. So how do you even start that conversation at someone basically that's already in that spot? How can we get this message out to more people? Oh my gosh.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, it's changing that perspective, right? It's helping women understand that the information is there. Your body is so smart and it's giving you signs. And if you would just slow down and pay attention to those signs, then you can use that information. And something struck me when you were saying earlier how, you had patients you were working with and they were so scared to get pregnant that there's also this message that we get as women that having a child, unless you explicitly want to, you were explicitly being purposeful about having one, is
Usually for someone else or for some situation or for other thing. Yeah.
right. Is
Not because you felt like it.
yeah, is the worst possible thing. And women should be afraid to get pregnant. And that is the worst possible consequence that could ever happen to you ever. And what about for centuries we have celebrated women for their ability to bring forth new life? And that's what's so empowering about natural family planning is even if you are using your body's information for avoiding pregnancy, you are still harnessing your ability
Yes.
to create life.
Yes. Yes.
And the tools that you're teaching patients to really listen and tune in with their body, like what a skill to be giving them as they move through their entire life. I mean, not just during their childbearing years, but through all of all of the rest of their life, and to empower the decisions that they're making in healthcare and beyond, that they have that knowledge of their body. I think that is so powerful. And that's what we're missing in healthcare, is this awareness of our bodies. And we keep shutting everything down, a pill for every ill. And we don't,
Mhm.
excuse me, we don't realize these little fires in our body, we're putting them out with medications. But they're actually a signal, something that we're supposed to listen to, and we're not supposed to put it out.
Exactly.
But that's super inconvenient for everyone though, Veronica. Like super, like you should be busy and you have things to do. And I really think that it comes back around where I'm like, culture is the cure. And I hear this because I'm hearing you deal with these issues on the end of life, where we see this, oh, well, you know how reflection of life goes, right? So it's like really that honest truth where you're seeing what I'm seeing reflected, what she's seeing reflected, and it's all the different stages of life. So by implementing this at this age, we won't have all of the pain. We'll be able to heal the trauma. We'll be able to take out the roadblocks, the rate limiting factors. Like, how
Mhm.
many drugs are people on, Veronica?
Average for the older American is 14 drugs.
It's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And yeah, so we can start making changes in generations, right? Because
Mm,
if I learn this information about my body in my 20s, then I when I have children, then as they're growing up, I mean already my kids are 5 and 3, right? I'm talking to them about their bodies in such a different way than my mom talked to me about my body, because my mom didn't know about this. She was never told
right.
about having natural fertility
Trust the
signs.
medical, trust the medical. And it was, it's such an interesting period of time because it oscillated in and out. And we've all realized, ooh, but we haven't figured out how to completely dissociate ourselves from the culture that supported it to begin with. Um, but yeah, I think it's such a great, like, yeah, I have 14, 6, and 4. And to hear the discussions that they have and the things that they're aware of when they feel like they need to remove themselves from a situation, or to breathe, or to, question what they noticed. It's building all of the time and realizing that that's like what's happening, like just to be connected with the two of you and realize we're all doing it gives me such a big hope in the evolution of things. And I also want to like write a song and like make it really loud about, this isn't feminism, and progestin is not progesterone, and this isn't just your body and your metabolism, which is a ton. It's also your perception of life. And if it's altering your perception of life, I mean, come on, if you are giving
Mhm.
that power away. So I love what you said about the power of, like, no matter what they want to do, it's really their power. It's not giving it outside.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing too, I like to emphasize to women is, just because you're choosing an option other than medication doesn't mean that you're just disregarding science. There are natural family planning methods that have a ton of science behind them, a ton of researchers. Where I got my certification through was out of Marquette University, where they only teach healthcare professionals how to teach women to track their fertility signs. They care a lot about the science and about using the science of our own bodies to back up these methods.
Well, I like when you say, like, it's not like negating science. I'm like, no, it's actually paying attention to the science unfettered with as much
Mm-hmm.
as it has been.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I just think, like, who are we trying to outsmart when we try to outsmart our bodies, like, legitimately? You
Right.
ain't even know you, and then you're gonna tell, you're gonna tell me. So, like, to be able to get into that reality and not make it like, I've had women straight up be like, I don't know what else to do. And then coming off of 20, 30 years of birth control and antidepressants and sleep pills and now amphetamines and sleep pills and antidepressants, and now I'm not sure I can get off the birth control, and I'm having all these health issues, so now I have diabetes, and like no wonder everyone's on 14 drugs so soon. And for women, I just feel like birth control is like the weed, like of of the world, like it's the gateway, like here, just take this one and then it'll be okay, because most definitely your systems aren't going to behave normally when you mess with your hormones in the way, like vast ways that synthetic hormones do.
Well, right. Well, right. And then you start taking birth control and you start getting more depressed. And then you go to your physician, and no way that could be related to the birth control. No, this is all in your
Never.
head. This
It's
is
never
something
it.
new, even though
It's
you've never had any symptoms before. All right, now we'll add on the antidepressant. Okay, now we'll start exactly like you said. This is where the waterfall begins.
It's so bizarre. Like I still, as we're talking about it, I'm like, wait, this is really not anymore. This is not happening anymore. There is no way. That is so crazy. I don't know how many times I was like, could this be that? Could this be that? And it's like, no, that definitely doesn't happen. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess something's wrong with me. That'll help the whole society. If everyone just thinks something's wrong with them individually, we'll all be okay. What? I really don't understand the marketing scheme on a large scale, like no matter if you sold something or not. And I remember being like on the back end of like, okay, so after you're on 3 maintenance drugs, we can predict they're going to be on 2 to 4 over the next 3 to 6 years. And it's like, wait, why are we not, if we can, and we're using our quantum power for, and we hope that what, and so like when Veronica told me you existed, I literally like I could flash back to all the times where I had women like just desperate, but like, what am I supposed to do? They say I have to take it. They won't see me in their clinic if I don't take it. They won't give me care. What if they told me this is going to happen. I'm going to die. There's nothing else. I'm going to have a seizure. I'm going to like, the. So yeah, I'm so glad I know you. I'll refer.
I'm glad I know you too. And just empowering women to make a truly informed choice. That's what it comes down to, right? Because, you know, I think that's part of the big flag of feminism, right? It's like, I want to make choices. I want to make choices. But are you making a choice when your healthcare provider tells you as a teenager, this is what you have to take, this is what you have to do, and there's not even a discussion about, oh, by the way, your body does this, you could pay attention to this, you have this option, and then you can choose?
Well, I think what's so bizarre on that end is then me and anti-aging, I legit can't find people that have survived long enough to have this, like we kill ourselves so soon before. And so in anti-aging, you're looking at preserving your natural hormone function, which is fed by your meditation, by your oxytocin stimulation, which when you have birth control, you're literally turning off so much of the abilities to do that. You stop recognizing faces. No wonder you're not attracted to people. You stop, I mean, and we know all this. This is research. This isn't like, and when I say it, it's like, I still get a little bit jarred by how much this is affecting our population without really being a big deal, and like I've seen girls that I thought were like really cool be posting like, yay, free birth control. This is a free birth control of the movement. And again, is it an educated decision or is it a marketed decision to support something that again is another agenda somewhere? And I think it's not, it's just open eyes, right? What is, what's the purpose and what is your intention and how would you like to get there? And I think that we haven't been allowed to ask that question and answer it for ourselves in a long time. And we're starting to realize we can.
Right. Yeah.
Gross.
Why
are you bringing up emotions, y'all?
So, Emily, I'm curious, which body part functioning piece of information are people the most shocked by, and they say, "Oh my goodness, why wasn't I told this sooner?" I'm curious to know which comes up the most often, like that you get that response to.
Oh yeah, I know for sure. It's cervical mucus. Yeah, I said the word mucus. Did
Nice.
you know that there is this amazing substance that your body produces at specific times during your cycle. And just by paying attention to this bodily fluid, you can know where you're at in your cycle, and you can know the specific days each cycle that you can get pregnant. That's another thing that's a huge wake up call. There's this message out there that you better be scared. You better watch out, women, because you could get pregnant at any moment. Don't let a guy look at you wrong. You could get pregnant. That is just not true. Scientifically, there are only 6 days every cycle that you can get pregnant. That's a big mind bomb right
You know
there.
what was really messed up for me is I remember telling people this and they're like, well, how do I find out? And I was like, I mean, I know. That's not my specialty. I'll see you in the office. But I think that's so, yes. And it was part of the same culture. You think, well, why was that? And you look, well, like you should be afraid. Like,
yeah.
And mucus is gross. Don't talk about mucus.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, periods are gross, right? Like you should just pretend you don't have them.
Totally.
So.
Totally.
Yeah. No,
not
but
like
yeah,
cosmic creation.
To answer that question, it's like, how do you know the days? All you have to do is go to the bathroom like all of us normally do, pay attention to what's on the toilet tissue and notice, is there cervical mucus there? What is its characteristics? And once you know, okay, I'm looking for this type at this time, this means that these are the days when I could get pregnant, then you can make an informed choice about, do I want to take certain actions or avoid certain actions at this
But what
time?
if I want it tonight?
Too bad.
Right? That's feminism. Sorry, broski.
Or hey, how about there's other ways to be intimate with your partner than intercourse?
So much fun. There's so much fun. And we should, honestly, when you were even saying like the check thing, I was like, yeah, and do you know how many women are, older than me, my mom's age, old, that do not touch their vaginas, that have not ever explored, that have been told by doctors, hey, you have no muscle tone and it's not a problem. Don't worry about it. There's so much where it's like, dude, that is the core. That is a chakra center. It's like energetic. It's your hormones are being produced and converted, and it's telling your body how alive you want to be, really. And I'm overjoyed that this time is happening, because I'm like, we're really talking about this stuff, and we've been doing it in all of these realms that are going to tie so beautifully together, and already have, without even realizing it. So what you're saying about an informed decision, us making our informed decisions, and each person that does, that's how we change it. That's how we really have the power for ourselves.
Yeah. And it's like you said, oh, well, it's just so convenient to take a pill. Like it's just easier to take a pill and not think about it. Well, is taking a pill that much easier than going to the bathroom and looking at what's on the toilet paper? You're already going to the bathroom anyway. Like,
right. Well, it's all the stigmatized things. Like, the more that you think about it, you can say totally, like, none of this makes sense at all. And we know that. Like, we know that. I think that's, for me, watching people die earlier and earlier and have less perception and less control over their body and more and more medications, starting this so young, and where I'm looking at it, it literally turns off your hormone production, shuts everything down and silences it. And anti-aging is healthy hormone production and listening to that and those good feedbacks. So are we literally just saying that life is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, that you also don't enjoy life? If life is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you, and sex isn't as fun, and you're not as happy, and you are gaining weight, and your metabolism is not the same. And so to think about all of those changes, and all you have to do is go to the freaking bathroom and claim your power as a female and control of your body, which you will benefit from in so many other ways, right? Tell me about how people change their, they change after they do this.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Because their eyes are open. They are so confident. They're empowered in all senses of the word. They know themselves. They appreciate themselves. They're allowed to be grateful for their body and be in touch with, okay, this is what my body is doing right now. And that is amazing.
Mm. Mm.
Like they're given evidence of what has already existed all along.
I love this so much. I mean, literally, like what I'm doing right now is working on how to functionally integrate the spirit side into your scientific display and epigenetics. And those are the programs we've been working with. And that's really at the core of what Veronica's doing, is to say like, hey, what are the ways that we can integrate your lifestyle and stop leaning on all of these things and get to what are your fires, what's really happening, right? So it's so beautiful to know that each person that resonates with a way of it being said is that scientific intuition as to what's best for them. And just to know that like they might have come to you to prevent pregnancy and all of the other things that they get. They might have come to you to get off some drugs, and they might have come to me because they're stressed out. And we're all here together having this conversation because there's something behind it that's running it, you know?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think we can all take away some wisdom from this, no matter where you're at, what stage of life you're at. So I do talk to women who are past menopause and they're like, well, why would I care about natural family planning? Like, I'm past that time. Like, I'm not cycling. I can't use this information. And no, you can't use this information for your body right now, but don't you know other women in your life? Don't you have daughters or sisters or nieces or neighbors or another woman that you care about that you wish you would have had this information sooner? And what if you can be the messenger to help someone else get this information?
That's really cool.
Like,
That's
in
really
helping
cool.
women throughout the continuum.
And I even think that the information that you're teaching about knowing your cycle and the different types of mucus are helpful if you're in perimenopause and things are a bit unpredictable, and to use those skills of recognizing the signs in your body to find out how well is your bioidentical hormone replacement working to help even out some of the imbalances that are happening during perimenopause. So
Definitely.
I think it's useful for
I
everyone.
was like, man, if I could really, because sometimes I get to this, I've been working in bioidenticals since I was like 18. I started working in the lab. And I get to a point where I really just want to get the questions answered. And it would be so much nicer if I could just be like, are you like, if everyone is paying attention to their mucus, to their temperature, to the moods that are connected and not connected to triggers, to these things that are, so important to the evaluation of how we can help them. And so, yeah, the awareness is, I would love it. I can't even imagine that, because sometimes I'll be like, so how's your vagina? And people be like, like, what do you,
Oh, that's a dirty word if you ask some people. I
what
mean,
am I supposed to call? I mean, anything else is not cute.
Yeah, that's so funny. I just had a whole podcast episode about how
Really?
we need to be talking about our body with anatomically correct words. Like, it's okay to say the word vagina. It's okay to say the word cervix. Like, that is your body. And why did this become like a dirty
Am I
word?
going to name my nose something different? Like,
Exactly. Are you ashamed to talk about your elbows? Like,
right?
my son got in trouble at school when I was pregnant with my second son. And he said, yeah, my mom has a baby in her uterus. And the teacher shut him down. She was like, no, that's not an appropriate word. And she talked to me about it afterwards. And I was very calm and I said, that's a proper anatomical word. It's absolutely appropriate to say. And we're going to continue using that word. And I don't know that the education really went over well. I think it was lost on her, but it took us a while because my son really took that to heart. Like, oh, I can't say that word. I'm like, yes, you can.
It's
That's where the baby
hurtful.
goes. He's
Yeah.
not in my belly. He's in my uterus. And that's not a dirty word. And it's just so interesting that even like a part of your body that's not directly involved, I guess, in the sexual or intimate process would be labeled as something inappropriate, which just, I don't even have words.
right. Right. I mean, yeah, it's this whole idea that, yeah, women, you should just cover up what's going on. Like, yeah, you better not like be flashing any menstrual products. Like, we don't want to know what's going on. Like, I mean, you know, centuries ago, like you have your period, like you're getting locked away from society. Like,
Well, it's interesting because here they do some red tent ceremonies, and not here in this area, but down Southern Pacific where I was, there was some of those things where that's looked as more of a reclamation of female time when done in that manner where it's a choice instead of as a manner where it's pushed away. And I've been really interested in all of the things that are coming up around talking about our periods and having more education about that. And I'm excited to see what that brings for young girls. I don't know if anybody else remembers, like, it was like sixth grade, like the most inappropriate, uneducated, disgusting, worst, traumatic, can I say some more words about health class?
mm-hmm.
What was that? You know, like, and the same time we were being like measured for like our skirts and like in trouble for spaghetti straps and everything. Hey, Jesus said tear your own eye out, boo boo, that ain't me. And it's really an interesting play on what we believe, and that's in the education system. So the education system and the medical system, which are our biggest industries, and like really, so at what point do we turn the tide? Is it realizing that we really do have the ability to say we all see this?
Mm-hmm.
We all see it, right? You feel like even your friends that don't want to say they see it, right?
I want to think that.
I really want to think it.
I want to think that, but I'm not sure because this message is just so ingrained from childhood.
It's true. Formative years and seeing what, yeah, that's.
And one of the best things we can do is start with our own kids. Like both of my sons, it's not a secret when mom has her period, and they know what it means and all that stuff. And other people have been shocked that my kids know this information, but I think it's really important that they learn it from me and not from the school system. And I think
Right.
that having a healthy acceptance and them knowing that it's not gross or weird starts at home. And us
right.
being empowered in how we talk about it, and it's not, it's just normal body
Yeah.
talk, with appropriate language, you know,
Yeah.
anatomically correct language.
Well, and it's interesting how shameful that has been pushed out to be. I think it's an interesting switch tactic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, Veronica. It starts at home and it starts with those little conversations. But then also at a certain point, we need to be brave enough to take that conversation further and be be brave enough to stand up and say, like, I don't think this is right. I don't think what everyone else is doing around me and thinks is perfectly normal is normal.
Right.
And be okay with dealing with the consequences. Like, I've definitely had hate on my social media from people who are, you know, saying, why are you bashing birth control? Why are you telling me, you know, that this is bad for me? My, you know, doctor prescribed me this for a reason, blah, blah, blah. And being brave enough to say that I care about you more than that, and I believe in you. That's because that's the thing. I believe in you. I believe in your body. I believe that you have the power.
And I don't believe in anybody who tells you you don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of, yeah. Wow. When you say like to be strong in the consequences and everything, I'm like, wow, that's meant so much for me in my life and in pharmacy and seeing. I mean, I know we've all seen it. So like it's a good fight, and it's not a fight anymore because it's kind of like just rolling. I feel like it's felt, like I said, I don't want to say, I mean, I've been a long time hearing stories where I used to call Fridays at my office bucket Fridays because I was just so sick of hearing how many organs had been removed unnecessarily and how many people had gone through extensive years of damage to their family, everyone around them, because of some flagrant decision. And the frustration is not there because we're all standing up and into it now, and like everyone is gaining their voices. And evolution, my coach told me this a long time ago, makes me, evolution is slow, and that's okay. We're evolving, and we're riding on the flow where we want to ride. And so it feels good to be in this group and to know that I'm not in this space where we're frustrated, because I know I can say, hey, when you don't know what to do about natural family planning, I know someone who can teach you this skill, right? And I love what you said about having like an elder like teach, because there's so much more trusting. Like if my grandmother would have told me this stuff, it's so much different than learning it, right? Like
definitely. Definitely. And just promoting that sense of community, and that we are in this together and we should be supporting each other.
I want my sons to learn about this so that they can support their future partners in whatever they're deciding. You know, we're going to give them all of the information and let them decide, but I want them to have this information so that they can support their partners and that they're not contributing to this, you know, feeling like, oh, that's the only way, or it has to be this way or the highway, and to know that there's lots of choices, and to be supporting their partners in their best health without chemical manipulation.
Definitely. Definitely. That's one of the things that I hear from couples all the time too, is learning natural family planning. It has to be it has to be a collaboration. You have to be communicating. You have to both know where you're at in your cycle and what that means for your intimacy, and what that means for the plans of your family. And it's amazing. I mean, I can speak to my own marriage. It totally improved our connection and our communication when we were totally on the same page, and this is where we're going together. And how respectful is it to know that my husband cares about me so much? He knows where I'm at in my cycle. That means we're not going to be intimate in this way, even if we want to be, because we know we don't want to have children at this moment. And, you know, I mean, we don't say it like this, but when a man is asking a woman to take birth control, you're kind of saying, here, just take this thing to shut down your body. Like, I don't have respect for what your body is doing. I want you to be stopping it. Is that
so that I don't have any concerns? Yeah. Weird. Dude, hearts and kisses. That's the message right there.
Well, I think we're nearing the end of our time. So is there anything that either of you wanted to add before we wrap up?
I just want women to know that you deserve to know the information that your body is telling you. You deserve to make truly informed choices, and you can do it. You are smart enough to listen to your own body and work with and support your own body.
And I would say that functionally learning to do that is also the key to having true vitality and longevity, enjoying your life throughout your life, staying in a youthful state, achieving all of the goals that you hadn't even imagined yet. All of that stuff is in line with understanding that you are smarter than you could imagine. Your body has so much wisdom, and you cannot find it outside of yourself. It is within you. It is listening to you.
As Matthew Sanford says, your body is the best home your mind will ever have. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. The conversation was wonderful, and I hope that our listeners can take away something really valuable. And Emily, tell us where we can find you, and Jenna, tell us where we can find you.
Yes, you can find me at www.nfppharmacist.com. You can find episodes of the Holy Woman podcast there and other resources, and then connect with me on Facebook or Instagram at NFP Pharmacist.
Jenna, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It was getting really windy. I'm at Clack the Code, CLACKTHECODE.com. And you can find me there online with lots of courses. Right now, really working on functional spirit science, which is whipping up in the air apparently. And JW, which is JDUBYA, because my middle initial is W, is my Instagram. So you can catch me there, where I do a lot more fun activity to tie you into Clack the Code.
Awesome. Well, thank you both, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
You too.
Thank you so much. This was amazing.
So much fun.